Welcome back. Today, we're looking at a transcript of a political commentary video, one that digs into the conflict between the Clintons and the House Oversight Committee on the Epstein probe.
Right, it's packed with tweets, legal letters, all that stuff.
And a sponsor.
Exactly.
So let's just dive right in. The first thing that really jumped out is how the evidence is being presented. The way the script blends reading official documents with this very real-time emotional reaction makes the actual timeline of the receipts really hard to follow.
Okay, so the energy is high, which I get.
Yeah.
But you're saying the evidence, the core promise of the title, is kind of getting lost in the reaction?
That's it, exactly. I mean, the script jumps from Hillary's good faith tweet to the committee's response to the host's own thoughts, like, oh my gosh, she is psycho.
Right.
And it all just gets conflated. You don't get a chance to assemble the facts in your head before you're told how to feel about it.
Yeah, that makes sense. You have to establish the baseline truth first. I mean, if you're trying to prove manipulation, you first have to clearly lay out the timeline of events.
Yes, it's like you're trying to build the house and tear it down at the same time.
So what if you think about it like a courtroom drama? The lawyer doesn't scream she's a liar while they're reading the deposition into the record.
No, of course not. You read the deposition, you let it hang there in the air for a second, and then you go on the attack.
Right. That silence, that little beat, is where the audience puts it together for themselves. So for a concrete example, look at where the host reads the Oversight Committee statement.
It's all mixed in with their like, oh my God, she is psycho. It just blurs the lines.
Okay.
So the suggestion is establish a clean read. Read the committee's statements about, House deposition guidance explicitly mentions video recordings in a totally neutral tone. No interruptions.
I like that. It gives the host more authority. And then you could verbally, pin the dates. The script mentions Tuesday versus the last 6 months.
Yes.
So if the host pauses and says, okay, so Hillary claims 6 months of cooperation. Now look at this timestamp from Tuesday. That really hammers home the moving goalposts idea.
It does. And then, right after that clean read, that's when you bring the commentary.
Got it.
Did you hear that? The committee explicitly stated video was required. Now let's look at Hillary's tweet again. You're separating the official story from the hidden reality.
And does that help clarify all those names? The lawyers, Jonathan and Ashley Kalin?
It does.
Because if you react in the middle of that sentence, the listener forgets who they are or why it even matters.
Exactly. You let the legal fact land, and then the psycho comment, if you even keep it, lands so much harder because the audience now understands why the behavior feels so erratic.
So it's less like you're just annoyed and more like you've actually caught them in a lie.
Precisely.
Okay, that's super clear. So let's talk about that kind of language, because there's a lot of high-voltage stuff in here.
That's the perfect segue to our second point, rhetorical impact and just, tonal discipline.
Right.
The reliance on these really high-voltage ad hominem attacks, I think, it actually undermines the very legitimate points you're making about the procedure. You've got phrases like, batshit crazy, drunk with power, and I think this was a typo, but shut up and take all the seeds.
Take all the seeds? I was wondering about that. I'm guessing it was meant to be take several seats?
Probably, yeah.
But that kind of highlights the risk, doesn't it? When you're operating at that speed with that much emotion, mistakes creep in and they can make the whole argument feel a little messy.
Messy is a good word, and it also raises the question of, what's the goal here? Is it just to vent, or is it to persuade someone that the Clintons are actually, legally in the wrong?
And do the insults actually soften the blow? If you just call someone drunk with power, you sound biased. But a colder, more clinical breakdown of the emails might actually be more damning.
That's the suggestion right there. Shift from labeling the behavior to demonstrating the hypocrisy. Let the receipts do the heavy lifting for you.
Okay.
So the conclusion feels inevitable, not like you're forcing it on the audience. So instead of she thinks she can take all the seeds, you could frame the refusal of a video recording as, an admission that they're afraid of the public optics.
Yeah, building on that, you could say something like, Hillary Clinton tweeted the word transparency. Her lawyer sent an email refusing a camera. You cannot claim transparency while banning the lens.
That's so much more powerful.
Right?
You're using her own words against her. It feels less like name-calling and more like a trap, just snapped shut.
Exactly. And you're respecting the audience's intelligence. You're saying, look, I don't need to tell you what to think. Just look at what she did.
And that brings us to the next section, where the stakes should be highest, but they kind of fall flat.
The legal context part.
Yeah, the discussion about James Comer, the contempt vote, the whole Pam Bondi, Merrick Garland's precedent, it's all delivered so loosely that it just dilutes the gravity of the legal threat.
I noticed that. The script says yikes, big yikes. which feels incredibly casual when you're talking about holding a former First Lady in contempt of Congress. It's like you're talking about a celebrity breakup, not a constitutional showdown.
Total. And the weakness is that this casual tone muddies the distinction between what's happening now with Bannon and Navarro and what could hypothetically happen to the Clintons under a new DOJ.
Right.
So the idea is to tighten up that legal explanation, to build real suspense. This whole segment should be building up to the threat of that contempt vote, not just fizzling out with an anyway, that's what's going on.
And what about that Pam Bondi reference? To a lot of listeners, that's just a name drop.
It is.
But she's not just a name. She represents a potential future attorney general who would be the one to actually enforce the contempt charge. That's a huge deal.
It's the whole point, really. The argument is about precedent. The host quotes Benny Johnson saying, Merrick Garland set a precedence, but then just breezes right past why that matters.
Assuming the audience is connecting all those dots.
Exactly. The connection is Garland prosecuted Bannon for defying a subpoena. Therefore, if the Clintons do the same thing, the precedent has been set. The next AG would almost be forced to prosecute them.
It's a massive legal trap. It's almost Shakespearean.
It is, and the script just completely misses that dramatic weight. It ends with, I don't remember what order, but anyway, we'll be watching. It just deflates the whole thing.
Total shrug. Okay, so how do we fix it?
For a concrete example, restructure that whole Benny Johnson-James Comer exchange to explicitly define the precedent. Spell it out. Frame it not as yikes, but as checkmate.
And the dates. The script says February 26th, 27th, I don't remember. That vagueness just kills the urgency.
It kills the urgency and it hurts the host's authority. So instead of I don't remember, end the segment with those dates as a countdown.
A hook.
A ticking clock. We have a deadline. February 26th. The clock is ticking. Will they show up or will they trigger the precedent Garland set for them?
Oh, that turns a news update into a thriller. Now I have a reason to tune in next time.
It creates forward momentum, which, speaking of flow, we have to talk about the ad read.
Right. The transition to delete me. That was...
Abrupt is one word for it.
Yeah.
The transition from this high-stakes congressional hearing to the ad is just jarring, and it misses such a golden opportunity for a thematic bridge.
It's a total speed bump. The tension just evaporates. You go from, we'll be watching the hearings to, you've probably seen all those lookup websites.
But there's such a huge overlap thematically. The whole story is about the Clintons trying to keep their testimony private, trying to delete their liability.
While the sponsor is literally about deleting your private data.
It's right there. So the suggestion is simple. Use those themes, transparency, public records, the danger of exposure, to create a completely seamless glide path into the ad.
Okay, so a better transition. What would that sound like?
Well, instead of the current one, you could try something like, the Clintons are fighting tooth and nail to keep their testimony private and off the record. But for the rest of us, our private info is already public on these data broker sites.
They have receipts on you.
Yes! That's brilliant. That pivots the anxiety the listener feels about this big political story directly onto their own life. It makes a big world problem into a my world problem.
And you're not just selling a product anymore. You're offering a shield against the very threats you just spent 15 minutes describing.
And instead of a generic example like classmates.com, which feels very dated.
Very 2005, yeah.
You link it back to the narrative. Just like the Oversight Committee is digging up hidden records, anyone can dig up your home address. It keeps the listener in that same threat detection mindset.
It really makes the sponsor feel like the solution to the world you've just described in the content. It turns the ad break into part of the story.
Exactly. The whole thing becomes one cohesive piece.
It's a piece with so much passion, but it just needs that structure to turn all that heat into light.
Well said. Okay, so let's just recap the actionable points here for the listener.
Let's do it.
First, separate your evidence from your commentary. Let the receipts breathe. Read the official document clean, neutral. Then give your reaction. Let the audience get the facts before you tell them how to feel.
Right.
Second, tonal discipline. Swap out the ad hominem attacks for logical takedown. Use their own words like transparency to show their hypocrisy. It's way more devastating.
And more credible.
Third, sharpen those legal stakes. Don't just say yikes. Explain the procedural trap with the Bondi-Garland precedent. Turn those dates into a countdown to build real suspense.
The ticking clock.
And finally, fix that commercial segue. Use the theme of forced transparency versus personal privacy to bridge the gap. Make the sponsor the hero of the story you're already telling. The source material here is so strong. You have the documents, you have a clear point of view. With just these structural tweaks, this argument goes from being an angry rant to a forensic dismantling of the opposition.
I completely agree.
We genuinely love to see how you implement these changes. Please revise the script, record it, and send it back our way. We really want to help you take this to the next level.
Absolutely. I can't wait to see the next version.
Thanks for listening to The Critique.